Lake Effect brings you conversations about what's happening in Milwaukee and the people, places, and organizations that shape our community. This is Lake Effect Spotlight from WUWM, Milwaukee's NPR.
When people in Milwaukee County return to the community after incarceration, nearly half of them need housing assistance. That's why Project Return, an organization that helps formerly incarcerated people, is now providing them with a place to live and other resources to help prevent recidivism. In downtown Milwaukee near the courthouse, 12 apartments will house people for up to 6 months, where they can receive on-site resources and support. The first residents are moving in tomorrow. WUWM's Eddie Morales is joined by Project Return Executive Director Wendell Rishka and Housing Director Sarah Williams.
Housing's always been a huge issue for individuals returning from incarceration, and it just has begun to spike even more so. We are seeing so many individuals coming through Project Return who did not know where they were going to be staying at, did not have viable abilities to be able to attain housing, could not afford, the 1 month rent, the security deposit, all that stuff. And we were working with local landlords to be able to try to address that need. A few years back, actually, we had one of our major funders ask me, said, if you had unlimited funding, what would you do? And I immediately said housing, and talked about how housing is such a need for the clients that we're seeing that are coming through. And apparently I was a little bit too convincing when I was talking about it, because they said, that's great. Yeah, we want to work with you. We want to partner with you on that. And that kind of set us on the path that we're on here today to be able to offer the housing for individuals returning from incarceration, and other things just kind of fell into place with the developer here of the property, with the partnership with the county jail, and getting the right people to be able to do the jobs as well. So we're very blessed to be able to be where we're at right now.
And right now we're downtown just off 10th and State Street. Can you describe this location and building and why Project Return chose it?
Yeah, this building used to be the old St. Anthony's Hospital, and then it got converted into the Community Corrections Center, which was the Huber facility for the county jail. And during those years, it really fell into disrepair to the point that it really needed to be completely gutted. And that happened. And then Heartland Alliance moved in, and just they could not be able to continue functioning and providing the housing that was needed here. So the developer, Zuena Cotton, came in and was kind of not pressured, but the city really wanted her to be able to take over and remodel the building and redo it here. About that time, when Zuena had gotten the building, we were in contact with her and just saying, hey, this is what we're thinking about doing with housing. And she jumped at the opportunity to be able to have us here, providing the housing here and providing services here at this building. So, like I said, everything kind of just really fell into place. Things started happening, and it's like, oh, this is perfect. This really works for us.
I think what I always think about when I come into our office space now is we're in between the jail, the courthouse, and Milwaukee Secure Detention Facility. And when I think about that, I think about the guys and the trauma. Sometimes I think about is that going to be too much for them in this building? And what I'd like to say to that is, we're here. We're not going anywhere. And just because you're next door to these facilities, we can work alongside it, right? And so really showing our guys that just because you've experienced incarceration doesn't mean that you can't get through it and get out of it. And really that's kind of what we're trying to do. And speaking of Zuena, there are not a lot of landlords in the state of Wisconsin that would be willing to let a project of this magnitude be in their building. And so I just am exceptionally grateful.
How does stable housing and support help to reduce recidivism or keeping people who are formerly incarcerated from being incarcerated again?
If your basic needs aren't met, if at the end of the day you have nowhere to lay your head at night, you have no food to eat, and you have no idea how you're going to shower the next day to even get up and go to a job interview, it's pretty difficult to figure out how to get out of that cycle. I happen to be a person that didn't have to worry about that, which is why it's always been so heavy on my heart to help people that don't have that ability. I think putting people back to work, these guys are smart. They come back out, they're professionals, they're going to be in our community. 95% of the people that have been incarcerated are going to be back in our communities. So I think it behooves us to give them a leg up, right? Not a handout, we're helping, right? And so really helping them feel that they're part of the community so that they feel that love and understanding and community feel. That's what we're trying to do here. And I think once you have the basics established, the world is really kind of open to you.
How does the program work and who qualifies for it?
So right now we're only taking guys that are currently incarcerated over at the CRC. So what happens is I go over there after the CRC vets them essentially, and I do a face-to-face interview with them just to get to see where they're at, what they've been through, doing like biopsych socials, ensuring that they're ready to buy into what we're kind of giving here, right? And I one of the things that I always say to them when I meet with any of them is, we don't want you to come out of jail and feel like you're coming to another jail. That's not what Project Return is. That's not who we are. And so we want you to feel like you're coming into a community and you have family and friends here who are really going to help you along the way. Our criteria is the guys they come straight here from CRC. So either myself or another Project Return person goes over there and picks them up straight and brings them here. After that, they're here for 3 to 6 months, and we have case management staff here that have been here for very many years that specialize with certain kinds of services. So, for instance, if somebody needs employment assistance, they go to Eugene for FSET help. If somebody needs help with housing, Terry, who's our administrative person that does a whole bunch of things here, also does a lot of housing things. And so essentially the criteria is ensuring that they have no healthy space to go to after they leave here. They could probably be rendered homeless, which would put them back in the system more than likely. Does that happen for everybody? No, but it's incredibly difficult. So those guys that are kind of falling through the cracks, those are the guys that we're looking to pick up and bring in.
Other than managing the property, how will Project Return provide resources for residents?
We are partnering with different area organizations. So My Way Out with Ruben, we're also taking referrals from him. And we're also looking into different partnerships in the community right now. But I think you could probably touch a little bit more on that, Wendell, as well.
What the program is designed with housing is to really provide individuals this with holistic wraparound services. So making and addressing every barrier that the individual is going to be facing upon their reentry. So we're working with them to be able to help try and find stable employment, working on addiction issues, mental health issues, getting them in front of the professionals that can be able to help with those different resources, so as that does not lead to maybe reincarceration or back into criminal thinking patterns or criminality. Really what we're trying to do is be able to take an individual from the day of release and get them stabilized in our community, helping them become positive, permanent members of our community. And then in time, our goal is to be able to have these individuals become leaders in our community too, to be able to speak about their experiences being incarcerated, what was needed when they got out, so that the next generation of people returning have more opportunities than what we have right now.
You're listening to Lake Effect on WUWM. I'm Eddie Morales, speaking with Wendell Rishka and Sarah Williams about Project Return's new housing initiative. What are the biggest misconceptions about people returning from incarceration?
Being here for 25 years, I'm very amazed at how resilient people are, how individuals really they could do so much with so little. And what is amazing is, like, once an individual starts to have some positive reinforcement and have some positive things happen in their lives, how that really just branches out and the individual really just kind of becomes a different person. One of the toughest things that we work with at Project Return is helping the individual recognize that they can be more than that number, more than what they've been in the past. And unfortunately, for a lot of the individuals that are returning from incarceration, a lot of individuals are going to be living here from a very early age. They were told that this is the only thing you're ever going to be, is you're only going to be that number. You're only going to be somebody that's going to be recycling through the system. And I go in institutions a lot, and when I talk with the guys in the institutions, I always say to them, we need you back in our community. We need you to be a part of this community. And every time I say that, there's always a group of individuals that their ears perk up, because they've never had anybody tell them that before. And so what we're really trying to do is get individuals to recognize that they can be more than what they've been in the past. They have the ability to become these leaders and be a positive asset to our community, and that they can change not only for their family and stuff, but for the community as well. I talk with individuals, and I've been doing this for many years. When I first started at Project Return, most people learn what I did, and I'd be like, "Dude, switch the subject pretty quick," because they didn't really want to talk about it that much. Now, when we talk, they really want to know more about how they can be involved, how they can volunteer, how they can get involved with individuals too. So I think that our community is beginning to come around to understanding that individuals returning from incarceration have value, that they can provide resources for the community and be a positive impact on the community if given the right kind of mentorship and walking with that.
Can you provide me with any statistics or anecdotes about the success and impact of initiatives like this or the work that you've both been doing?
I remember feeling as if I was never going to get back up again, and I had privilege that other people didn't have. And so really making sure what's really important for me in this program is ensuring that the guys know that they're here, they're not a number, that they feel heard and seen from the moment that they walk into their apartment. Everything is brand new. Like, when I tell them that when I go and do interviews with them, they're pretty blown away. I said, you don't have to worry about anything. Do I need to bring anything? No, you don't. Like, we just want you to feel how we need you to feel, right? And I don't know that they've ever been given that opportunity before. So I think being able to give them that hopefully will show them, like, this is where I belong. This is where I'm supposed to be, and help motivate and move them forward. Other programs, I think, are very helpful, but this program specifically is very different. And I'm grateful to be able to be a part of this. I also have worked with guys that have been on the inside and gotten out, that have been in temporary living programs, really put their all into it, and now work for places like the Remington Center out in Madison, or for the Innocence Project. And that's something to be said about us, like, in our hearts. Somebody that's educated can go to school and learn about statistics and all these things and what incarceration does to family and cycles of trauma, but I really believe that the people that can do the best work here are the ones that are most passionate about it, are ones that have felt that pain before and are willing to pull people out as well. So one of my big things that I would love to see, and I think that we definitely are going to strive towards that, is these guys that we get housed, that, get back with their families. One of the first things guys always say to me when they go in there, can I see my kids? Of course you can see your kids. We encourage you to see your children. And yes, absolutely. So those guys, I can envision them being alumni here, right? And then mentoring the next squad of guys that come through. And so really it's like that ripple effect we want to see in the community, and it starts here.
Sarah Williams is the housing director for Project Return, and Wendell Rishka is the executive director of Project Return. They both spoke with WUWM's Eddie Morales about how they're providing housing for people in Milwaukee County after incarceration.
You can find more interviews like this one by visiting wuwm.com/Lake Effect. And while you're there, subscribe to the Lake Effect Spotlight podcast.